In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw a unit circle. And to start, I'm going to define a unit to be 10 squares. And that means my unit circle will extend 10 squares to the right from the origin, 10 squares to the left, 10 squares up, and 10 squares down. And this will be the points on the unit circle with the following coordinates. So this is 1, 0, this is 0, 1, this is -1, 0, and this is 0, -1. The following points will also be on the unit circle. And with that many points, we can draw a decent circle. So I'm just going to connect the points. And this is what we're going to use as our unit circle. So to label the angles, we're going to start with 0 degrees. And next will be pi over 2, then will be pi, 3 pi over 2, and the last one is 2 pi. Next I'm going to draw multiples of pi over 4. So this is pi over 4, and the coordinates of the point for pi over 4 angle on the unit circle are square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. And the next multiple of pi over 4 is pi over 2. So we have 2 pi over 4. Next one will be 3 pi over 4. The coordinates for 3 pi over 4 are -√2 over 2, +√2 over 2. Next one will be 4 pi over 4, which is same as pi. Next one will be 5 pi over 4. The coordinates for this one are, I'm just going to use the symmetry, so it's -√2 over 2, -√2 over 2. Next one will be 6 pi over 4, which is same as 3 pi over 2. The next one will be 7 pi over 4, which is not same as anything, but the coordinates of this point are √2 over 2 and -√2 over 2. And the last one will be 8 pi over 4, which is of course the same as 2 pi. Now we're going to draw the multiples of pi over 6. I'm going to start with pi over 6. What do I draw pi over 6? I know that sine of pi over 6 is 1/2. So this is the point on the y-axis with the coordinate 1/2. And in the first quadrant, there's only one such point. So this is pi over 6. And sine of pi over 6 is 1/2, and it is reflected on this picture. So the y-coordinate is 1/2, the x-coordinate is √3 over 2. Now, next I'm going to draw 2 pi over 6, which is pi over 3. So what we know about pi over 3 is that cosine of pi over 3 is equal to 1/2. That means I'm going to pick a point on the unit circle whose x-coordinate is 1/2. So this is pi over 3. So x-coordinate is 1/2, the y-coordinate is √3 over 2. So this is pi over 3. Next multiple of pi over 6 will be 3 pi over 6, which is same as pi over 2. Next multiple of pi over 6 is 4 pi over 6, which is 2 pi over 3. It will have the x-coordinate equal -1/2. So this is 2 pi over 3, and the coordinates of this point are -1/2, +√3 over 2. Next one will be 5 pi over 6. It's the point with the in quadrant 2 with the y coordinate 0.5, so 5 power of 6. The x coordinate is negative root 3 over 2. The y coordinate is 1/2. And we continue the same way. So the next one will be 6 pi over 6, which is same as pi. Next one will be 7 pi over 6, which has y coordinate negative 1/2. So negative 1/2, and the x coordinate is negative root 3 over 2, and this is 7 pi over 6. Next one is 8 pi over 6, which is same as 4 pi over 3. The coordinates of this point are negative 1/2, negative root 3 over 2. Next one is 9 pi over 6, which is same as 3 pi over 2. Next one is 10 pi over 6, which is the point. So 10 pi over 6 is same as 5 pi over 3. It's the point with coordinates 1/2, negative root 3 over 2. The next one will be 11 pi over 6. And the coordinates of this point are root 3 over 2, negative 1/2. And the very last one will be 12 pi over 6, which is of course the same as 2 pi. So this is what the unit circle looks like with all the angles that are multiples of pi over 4 and pi over 6 labeled.